And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another group, another day here, another week, another edition of the HSL, the Hispanic StarCraft League Group F. I'm of course your host, Live VIP, with you. I'm joined by these amazing players, by the people in the chats, and by my plushies as well. Welcome, welcome, one and all. Whew, it has been an intense week of StarCraft, but also an intense week of the HSL. For those that are curious, this is our first time covering a group at this time slot. Usually we do cast at a more NA friendly time, but here today we actually had a slot available here over in a more European friendly time instead. Here we go. So the HSL, the Hispanic StarCraft League, is an initiative that was brought together here at the start of the month. Big shout out to, of course, Bond, Enki, Protosito, the Novak, and all the other casters and content creators working behind the scenes on this. For those that are curious, this is a league that was brought together by said content creators for the Hispanic region. Here we go. This event is going to include players from Latin America alongside players from Spain as well. Spanish-speaking countries, so unfortunately players from Portugal and players from Brazil are not going to be eligible for this tournament, but from all the other countries, they are jumping in. They are going to be jumping in. Again, this is essentially GSL, but for the Hispanic-speaking players, basically. So GSL, HSL, if you will, is coming at you. We have been covering this over the past week. We did cover Group A to D, and now we're here with Group F. We are skipping Group E for the time being, as matches are still being played out. As you saw in the chat, when it comes to the commands, these are matches that are casted via replays, as players are playing out their matches and organizing those matches ahead of time, and then submitting their replays. And Group E is still underway. Group E is still underway. They still have not wrapped up, but Group F have. So we're jumping into Group F instead, and we have our matches ahead of us. And I'm ready. I'm excited because this is a historic moment, especially if you're a big fan of some Spanish players. It's going to be a historic moment. It is the return of one of the best players, I mean, not just in Spain, one of the best players outside of Korea in the history of StarCraft. It's crazy. It's great. Let's go. Let us go as we switch our scenes over and catch up on the matches ahead of us. Here we go. Here we have a Group F. We are going to be featuring a couple of Latin American players, Peruvian players. We have NeO, we have Ducklings, as well, two Peruvian Terrans. Of course, NeO is near and dear to our hearts. He's an ex-CranKy Duckling. We have ShiftClick from Spain, and we have Ryojin from Bolivia, and we have Vortex from Spain as well. Vortex, if you're an old school viewer, you should know who Vortex is. Vortex, aka Lucifer's brother. Lucifer and Vortex, they're the two Spanish brothers that were the best players in Europe for a time. I mean, especially in Heart of the Swarm. Back in Heart of the Swarm, they were the best of the best. They were in contention for the best players outside of Korea, and they retired. They retired a very, very long time ago. Vortex and Lucifer, they retired around the beginning of Legacy of the Void. I want to say like 2016-ish, 2017, like they did retire, they did step away from the game. If you recall, they retired and they actually switched to Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm, that came out, and I remember Vortex and Lucifer, they joined Team Liquid, and they were on Team Liquid's Heroes of the Storm roster for a time. They competed in that, they were actually really good as well, and then they switched to AoE. They switched to AoE 4, and I know they're playing for, actually I think they even switched to AoE 4. I think when Warcraft 3 Reforged came out, I think they might have competed in that as well. But it just goes to show that Lucifer and Vortex, they're both they're both competitors in whatever esports that does get their attention, not just SC2 but other RTSs, and of course a couple of MOBAs here and there as well. And they're just very talented when it comes to competing and when it comes to thriving in that kind of competitive environment. And they've been going for a long time. Now, if you recall, there was a DreamHack Valencia a couple of years ago. I want to say back in 2018 and a little bit earlier in 2021-ish, 2022. Vortex did actually play in those, specifically the open bracket, because it's local, right? DreamHack Valencia, it's local to him. He's living in Spain, so he actually did play in those open brackets, but that's all he's played in. That's all and again, like, he didn't necessarily go too far in those events either, since he's not really competing. But for the HSL, it has brought together some otherwise retired players, not just Vortex, Special, Bombilla as well, NeO, who had also stepped away, Tavito. A lot of players in the region have since kind of stepped away from StarCraft. I mean, there's various reasons for that. We're not going to get into it here, but a lot of the content creators stepped away and stopped streaming, stopped making content, stopped casting as well. Likewise, EPT Latin America was absorbed into EPT NA. That was only a couple of years ago, so less less incentive for the players to compete. Likewise, all the weekly tournaments like Sentimiento Latino, Copa Hyperion, as well as La Espida, they again kind of stopped making content for these players as well. So a lot of them did retire. But now that we have the HSL, now they're being brought back in. And because of that, it's kind of hard to judge the skill level of a lot of these players, because in their prime is one thing, but right now they're just now getting back into the swing of things. So it's a little bit different here when it comes to the place or the skill level of the current players, which is why I'm here to find out what exactly that is. How do they compare? How does Vortex compare to some of these more modern players? Or even then, what form is NeO, Ducklings, Ryojin, ShiftClick, what form are they in as well? A lot of these players, they're only coming back just for HSL, so they have only been back competing and laddering and practicing for around a month. So very little time here, We'll see where they are. As we get into this, a big shout out to Luis. Papi, gracias. Thank you so much. For the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. And welcome just in time, Papi. Just in time. We are jumping into this. Just in time. We are jumping into the HSL, the Hispanic StarCraft League. Did you say one of the best non-Korean players of all time? Yes. Yeah, Vortex. It was straight up. He was one of the best, if not the best for a time. Of course, this was back in the era of like Naniwa and Scarlet and Stefano as well. Vortex straight up there. One of the best, if not the best for his time. And Lucifer as well, of course. And now we are jumping in. We're jumping into our first matchup of the night. As you can see here, we have 5 matches. We have 5 best of 3s. These are going to be best of 3s. It is a round robin group stage. Because there are so many matches, we won't be casting everything. But we're going to be starting things off with NeO versus ShiftClick in a TvP. Here we go. As game 1 is on Abyssal Reef. So we are jumping in. Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Let's go. As spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Abyssal Reef, we have our orange Protoss player, the orange Protoss from land of Spain. It is ShiftClick. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have the Peruvian Terran player, the red Terran. It is NeO. NeO, he was once a CranKy Duckling, always a CranKy Duckling, of course, does drop by in the chat from time to time. Currently did actually graduate from law school. I want to say last year did graduate from law school, so now is a lawyer, un abogado. Let's go. So it's great to see. Again, did step away from StarCraft for a long time, recently coming back in for the HSL. And likewise, I'm not too familiar with ShiftClick. I have a long history with NeO, of course. NeO, he's La Tortuga, papi. If you recall, NeO, he is known for mech in every single matchup. Not necessarily for his own volition. If you recall, he used to play on an old laptop, and he would play on like 20 to 30 FPS. Like he just would not have the most powerful setup and the powerful PC to compete in StarCraft. So because of that, would often drop frames, especially in longer games. So he would go for something less micro-intensive. That's one of the reasons why he did embrace mech for a very long time. And I don't know if he's gotten a new laptop since then. So yeah, I'm unfamiliar. I potentially could be branching out into Bio. It's possible. If we see mech, then most likely he's still playing. Still on that same laptop. No. Smooch. Meanwhile, ShiftClick back at home, 2-gate. Ooh, 2-gate opener out of our orange Protoss player. Something much more aggressive. I don't typically favor aggressive play here on Abyssal Reef. Abyssal Reef, of course, is one of the largest maps in the map pool. Is the second largest map, only second to Neon Violet Square, but still insanely large. Long rush distance by ground, defendable natural, defendable third base. If we were to play mech, if we were to turtle up, this would be the map to do it on. Assuming that NeO would do that against Protoss. So the double gate opener here is interesting to me. With this, we can try to be hyper aggressive early on. I will say, checking NeO's vision, he did not scout. No SCV scout, no Reaver scout either, reactor first. This is quite greedy, but I do think that it's okay to get oh, never mind. I was gonna say, it's okay to do this on a larger map, but it was a double gas opener, faster factory, no CC into a starport. This is a one base all in. Yeah, straight up 1-1-1 for NeO. I was saying how I don't favor aggression, so I was questioning the 2-gate opener. Likewise, I don't favor aggression. I'm questioning the 1-base all-in. God damn it. So NeO, he's doubling down. Now, ShiftClick, he is not outside the bases, so he won't see this coming. He did scout the double gas, so he knows about the faster factory, but that doesn't signify all-in. That signifies an aggressive start. That is true, but it doesn't necessarily lead into this. So ShiftClick, he's in the dark, is going for the sentry follow-up. Very important. That sentry does allow for a hallucination, and with that hallucination, he should get a full scout as to what's going on. As the Marine army does move out, runs into the Stalkers. 2 Stalkers already. Ooh, and 1 Marine will fall. That's big off there by NeO. NeO getting a couple of shots off, but alas, these Marines are going to go down. ShiftClick, he will clean this up. Likewise, we can see NeO hiding here in the tall grass. Oh, and there's a lock-on. He gets 1. He should get 1 of those Stalkers, and the other will barely escape, but this is already a tell that something is a little bit wrong behind this building of Marines. More Medivacs, tank production as well into Vikings. Again, 1 base will end NeO. He may pull the boys with this as well. And ShiftClick, he's still not fully aware. Like, seeing the Cyclone is a little bit of a tell, but there could still be a command center behind this. He hasn't seen any starport units yet. That would have been a tell that it's a 1 base all in. Regardless, safety shield battery. Safety shield battery. He has force fields available because he didn't hallucinate. He will have force fields to block off that ramp. This is also what makes it difficult to go for these all-ins because that natural is so defendable. NeO boosting forward. We get spotted. There's hallucination. Yes, that hallucination means no force field. Yeah, no force field here on that sentry. Tanks are within range. Big volley's going off. Oh, Medevac does take a lot of hits though. The Medevac does go down, forced to scan. And without that Medevac, he has no high ground vision. Thankfully, Viking does arrive. He's going for the Viking. Oh! Ooh, he gets it. The Viking goes down. Viking goes down. Now we need those scans. You're trying to move in. Within range of the shield battery. But the longer this goes on, the better it is for... Oh, the force field, the better it is for ShiftClick. Force fields the Marines in. Shuts them down. And NeO sees nothing. NeO, he sees nothing. He needs a scan, but he also wants the mule. Second tank has arrived. Oh, no high ground vision. He gets 1 tank. He's going to get the other. There's the scan, but NeO, he will lose everything here. The tanks, the Cyclones, the Marines. And with that ShiftClick, he will defend, he will hold, and he will take game 1. GG gets called. ShiftClick, he will take a lead in the series. Whew. GG. GG again, a crazy build here out of NeO, going for the 1 base all in. Again, there's just so much that's working against NeO on these larger maps. On Abyssal Reef, it isn't just the size of the map and how long it takes to get across the map, but also, and how long it is to reinforce as a result, but also, as you saw, because of that ramp coming into the natural, it isn't just a ramp, it's a very narrow choke point as well, so it's so difficult to force your way up that ramp. We saw force fields punishing him, and we saw that the tanks, even though they were within range, they had no vision. He had no vision, he had no way to actually make use of those tanks. ShiftClick did shut him down. GG. GG, well played. I should also give credit to ShiftClick for specifically targeting down the Medevac and the Viking as well. Because he did target them down, there was no high ground vision. So nice prioritization there from the Protoss. And here we go, we're getting into game number 2 and spawning in the top left hand corner of King's Cove. We have our orange Protoss player from Atlanta, Spain. It is ShiftClick. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have the Peruvian Terran player, the red Terran. It is NeO. Here we go. As we're selling into another large map. Welcome one all to King's Cove. King's Cove is the 3rd largest map in the map pool. 2nd and 3rd, I guess 3rd only to Abyssal Reef and Neon Violet Square as well. So a very large map, a lot of bases, very defendable, just like Abyssal Reef. Also a ramp coming into the natural, and also a very narrow ramp at that as well. So it's not just large, but also very defendable on 2 and 3 bases. Because of that, I'm hoping that we do not 1 base all in. Double gas. Double gas opener out of NeO. Double gas does lead into a faster factory. This can lead into a 1 base all in like we saw previously. It shouldn't, but I'm already not too fond of the idea that NeO, he's not opening up economically here. He's not going for an economic opener. So there's going to be a little bit more pressure on NeO to get some damage. Now chasing down the initial probe. Forcing him back. Also, bienvenidos those in the chat. I see Gary in the chat. Kenna Beast as well. Get that. I saw Psychons, Werehogs as well. Soundo. Ga, Papi Ga. Spiral. I hope you're doing well. As for now, there's that factory. Again, ShiftClick, he already knew. He already saw the double gas, so he knew that it was going to be a factory follow-up. What's important, though, do we go for a command center or a starport? What are we going for? As the probe is shut down. Do see a shift clicker across the map. Once again, 2-gate opener. 2-gate opener out of the Protoss play. A very safe play. I say safe. I would say aggressive, but I mean safe as well, as it will allow you to have extra units early on. And NeO, thankfully, it looks like he will expand. Okay, no one base all in this time. He's going for the CC on the low ground. No starport. We're getting into the mid game. Getting into that mid game. But again, the CC is going to be later than otherwise would like. Both players are expanding. And the question becomes, is NeO going to play mech? No, is he going 3CC? Okay. I just saw the SCV idle. I was like, hold on a minute. Now calming down. There's a starport, there's that 111. Reactor on the racks. Tech lab on the factory, so we're not going for a reactor Reaper Hellion, just 2 Reapers, 1 Hellion moving out, and this can lead into Cyclone drop, this can lead into early tank production, this can lead into a tank drop as well. I'm not too fond of the idea of going for a tank drop on this map, similarly to the previous map as well, like the map is just working against the aggressing player. This can lead into Banshees though, that could work. Hellion into the main, going for the sentry. Oh, sentry taking a lot of hits, and the sentry is going to go down. A nice pickup. Takes down the sentry and gets the hell out of there. We'll lose a Cyclone, so we'll lose a Hellion. I apologize. As a result, but we'll get out. And, oh, I was concerned it was going to be a tank drop. That's what it is. It's going to be a tank drop here. Oh, never mind. I assumed tank alongside a medevac, but that is another tech lab. Okay. Going to be really early tank production here out of NeO. With that tech lab, this can lead into Banshee, or can lead into Raven for some Raven harass, something more standard. Keep an eye on NeO. Double Reaper into the main base does confirm the Twilight Council opener. Shift click in position, nicely done. Does surround and will hunt down these Reapers. There's no way out of this. Trying to escape, but will fall. And shift click does defend. Does defend. Behind this, we have a 2-gate setup. We'll see if we throw down extra gateways or a 3rd expansion. Shift click is moving out. I'm going to gain map control. Behind this, Viking first. Okay, is going Viking first here before getting into his either Raven or Raven. Interesting. Shift click does move in. Tank is in position. We get the mass repair on the bunker as well. He will hold, and we do have an extra racks. Okay, it's not going to be mech. We are thankfully getting into bio. So working towards our 3-1-1 setup. You can see the Viking on patrol, looking for any kind of stray War Prism. We can see that the Robo was delayed, so there is no War Prism, just the Stalkers. NeO just being very safe. And is just securing himself. From here, going for an add-on swap. This is going to lead into earlier Stim. Stim is going to be a little bit earlier here for NeO. And once he gets Stim, he can break out. Meanwhile, ShiftClick is not yet expanding. He's still staying on 2 bases. He's going for further tech from Blink into Charge. From here, we should be going for a Fast Forge into +1. And we should be expanding and getting a 3rd base. But we'll keep an eye on ShiftClick. Oh, getting high ground vision. Blinks in. Takes out the Viking. Viking goes down, going for the tank as well, but alas, there's plenty of support and the tank will survive. Tank will survive, bit of a misrally. Stalker goes down here at the natural as well. So far, NeO, he's holding. I'm concerned for ShiftClick just because he is staying on 2 bases for a very long time, going for a Dark Shrine follow-up as well. Okay, this is unorthodox. Just because it's not like we rushed into DTs. Remember, it was Blink first, then Charge, and then Dark Templar. Like, this is much, much later here for ShiftClick, and now he takes the 3rd base. I will say that this 3rd base is late for the Protoss, but we'll see if the DTs make up for that. Scan does get the Observer. I spoke too soon. Observer does float away. And NeO will not quite get it. Observer moving back in position. NeO trying to chase that Observer. And scans here are going to be dangerous. As we mentioned, because of the Dark Shrine, if NeO, if he mules at the wrong moment, if he scans at the wrong moment, then DTs can end the game. We've seen it happen at the highest level of play, where DTs waddle in, and that's game. That's GG. It's GG then and there. NeO, he's pushing again because of the early tech lab on the factory, and because of the skipped Cyclone. Really high tank count really early on as well. That's 6 tanks. That's insane. So we have 6 tanks gonna be pushing. Stim is already done. ShiftClick, he does miss the move out. He misses everything, but he will have a recall. Likewise, Dark Templar, they're waddling in. They're being sent across the map. ShiftClick, he will barely miss this. He sees a medevac. He sees a medevac. Yep, he responds. He responds to the medevac. He does turn around.
Under enemy fire.
3rd base under fire, but the 3rd base does not matter. He has to go for the natural. He has to go for the kill. Back at home, he has been muling. He will soon have 1 scan. He doesn't have it yet, though. Yeah, first DT is going to go down for free. DT goes down. Tanks are a little bit too far behind. Stalkers, they try to come in from behind, but last they cannot quite engage. That's going to be a second second tank falling. Oh, and these DTs, they're wreaking havoc. They're wreaking havoc, killing all the SCVs. More DTs waddling in. Again, the 3rd base is going to go down, but the 3rd does not matter. We have a scan back at home, which means none across the map. Another tank's going to fall. NeO's getting picked apart here. Just those 2 tanks. He's about to lose another. Ooh, massive tank value is going off. It is down to 3 tanks. Nice stim, catching out those Stalkers. All the tanks are going to go down. Now it's only the Bio. Only the Marines are left. DTs, I mean, they're killing everything across the map. Sims 4 takes down the Robo. Dark Templar warps in to defend. And these DTs are winning a ShiftClick this game. Yeah, they shut down the Bio. Across the map, they're still wreaking havoc. Barely any mining. There's 1 turret at the natural. And again, this push had a lot of potential. I mean, we saw that the main army here of ShiftClick could not deal with the army, could not deal with the tanks. But the DTs, the Invisible Man. The Invisible Man is just too much. It's just too much here. The Marines are all going down, and NeO back at home still stuck on a 1 base economy. Barely ascending army. ShiftClick, he moves out. He won't quite break the natural, not yet, as the boys are being pulled. There's only a handful of Zealots, but the DT's coming in. No, not again. DT comes in. There's a scan. And alas, ShiftClick is looking quite comfortable here. ShiftClick, he is freely mining here from his 2 bases. NeO does have a high worker count, but NeO, he's only on 1 base. Has to transfer back over. Really expensive losses here for NeO. Losing all of his tanks, the medevacs. Now, can NeO recover? We're in a really interesting place. For the one hand, ShiftClick is ahead. He is ahead, he's up a base. Right now, the worker counts are similar. That is only currently true. ShiftClick, he's making 3 probes at a time. So ShiftClick, he will soon very quickly overpower and overwhelm and surpass the economy of NeO. So there's a lot of pressure on NeO. He moves out, he gets spotted. ShiftClick, he responds. Because NeO's stuck on 2 bases, he needs to get some kind of damage. And he gets found. He gets found out. There's not, I mean, the medevac is not large enough here for all the units, and it's going to be hunted down. Oof. Which means it's going to be a one-way trip. There's a scan. Despite that, yeah, it bleeds out 1, 2, almost 3 Marauders. Ay, ay, ay. And GG gets called. Yeah, there's no coming back from this. And ShiftClick, he will take game number 2 and take a 2-0 lead and take the series. GG. GG. Whew. We'll take game 2. Now, as a reminder, this is a best of 3, but we are playing out all 3 maps. All 3 maps are being played because it's a round-robin group stage. This is to help to avoid tiebreakers and to, again, kind of distinguish players a little bit more. So all three maps are being played out, but ShiftClick, he will take the series. Will take the series, and game 2 was closer and there was a lot of potential for NeO. Unfortunately, he just didn't know what was going on. Unfortunately, NeO, he didn't scout the main base, he didn't know there were DTs, and straight up, as you saw, the Dark Templar, they won the game. They defended and they attacked. We saw that ShiftClick, he was struggling to defend without those DTs. He lost all of his stalkers. Zelds couldn't quite engage either, but those Dark Templar were able to clean up all the tanks, wreak havoc across the map, deny any reinforcements. GG. GG, well played. And with that, ShiftClick, he will take the series, but now we're jumping into that 3rd game. At spawning in the top right-hand corner of Amygdala, we have the Spanish Protoss player, the Orange Protoss, leading the series 2-0. We'll see if he can cement himself even further here. It is ShiftClick. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the Peruvian Terran player, the Red Terran. Down in the series, we'll see if he can bounce back and make a series out of this and put a point on the board. It is NeO. We go. As we are leading into Amygdala, once again, one of the larger maps. One of the larger maps in the map pool. Again, despite how large these maps have been, NeO, he's been hyper aggressive both in game 1 and in game 2. Game 2, he basically went for a 2-base all-in with 6 tanks. It was insane. Just how tank heavy he was. We'll see what his plan is coming into game 3. We shall see. As NeO does move out. Likewise, that ShiftClick moving in. So we are going for Worker Scouts. I believe this is a SCV Scout for the first time this series for NeO. Like, I don't think he's scouted at all so far. And for the first time this series, ShiftClick going for a Gate Cyber into Nexus. So economic opener out of ShiftClick. He did not do so on Abyssal or on King's Cove, but maybe now that he knows that he's won the series, he's willing to go for something more greedy, or I would say just economic and relatively standard, instead of being overly safe. So do have that faster expansion. Meanwhile, across the map, do you see what I see? I see not just a Rax, I see an economic opener, but a second Rax, and soon to be a third Rax. So it's going to be 3 Rax here for NeO. Once again, it's really aggressive. It's a really aggressive build. This is going to be a stim timing. Basically, 3 Rax stim timing. You go for the reactor, tech lab, into stim, into combat shields. You send it across the map. This is not an all-in, but it is designed to get damage done. If you don't, you can fall behind. And again, doing this on Amygdala, it's going to take a little bit longer to get across the map. There's a higher chance to get scattered as well. We'll see if NeO can pull this off. Meanwhile, ShiftClick going for it. No shot. Okay. For some reason, I thought it was a Robo opener. It's going Twilight Council into Robo. Interesting. Unlike the previous game, this time he will have access to not just observers, but even a War Prism, if need be. So ShiftClick, he can throw down extra gateways and go for something more aggressive. CV does open up with the observer though. So now we do have that safety sentry. Whether it's with the observer, whether it's with the sentry, ShiftClick, he should be able to get a read on what's going on. Ooh, +1 on the way. And here come those upgrades. We have +1, Stim, and soon-to-be combat shields as well. NeO, he did not scout the tech. If he did, he should be going for a concussive shell soon, and going to be incorporating Marauders. And he might just blindly do so anyway, just based on the series so far. He might just assume it's going to be, you know, a blink-heavy composition. Meanwhile, we spoke about the gateway explosion. We spoke about the aggression with that War Prism. There it is. 3 gates on the way. It's going to be 4-gate blink. It's going to be 2 base, 4-gate blink here. Prism should be coming out, and ShiftClick, he's going to wreak havoc across the map. And NeO's in trouble. NeO, he's going to be in trouble here. How do you defend typically against something like 4-gate blink? Tanks and SimCity. You know, having that SimCity, having your tank count, because of the 3 racks, 0 tanks to defend. And Stim, it's still not quite done. There's no medevacs. Bear that in mind. When you 3 racks, there's no medevacs, so there's no support. Hallucination comes in, and ShiftClick sees everything. And he should be feeling confident to move out with these stalkers and to be assertive, to be aggressive. Oh, that is not a prism. That is a second observer. That is a second robo and a bay. What the hell's going on? what the hell's happening? So ShiftClick, he's doing his own thing here. He's teching up very heavily. So despite going up to 4 gates, he's not going to be able to make use of this. Yeah, he's spending his gas not on stalkers, but on a second robo, a bay, Colossus, charge, very tech heavy. This tells me that NeO has the opportunity to be active. So I do think that ShiftClick, he could have shut this down completely. Could have shut this down and just overwhelmed and killed NeO. ShiftClick, instead, he does respond in a kind of a weird way. This is giving NeO some opportunities to be aggressive. We'll see how this goes. I mean, there's still an army, right? There's still a force here for the Protoss. Observer does see this. Shield batteries on the way. And he's looking for the 3rd, but remember, the 3rd is late. The 3rd has been delayed because of the gates and because of the tech. There is no 3rd base. NeO, he pokes in. He's trying to figure out, wait, what's going on? like NeO doesn't know what's happening. He sees the bay, and he should retreat. Seeing the bay is a sign of Colossus, of course. There's a high chance it's going to be a Colossus. There isn't, but NeO, he's crazy right now. He threatens a dive. He should think better of it. The best thing for NeO to do is to go back home. It is to preserve this army. Preserve this army and build up towards a later timing instead. He's getting into his own 3-1-1. I believe never mind. Wait, what? We're getting to a 5-rack setup into a Ghost Academy on 2 bases. Into a delayed 3rd CC. Okay. So we're getting into Ghosts. NeO, I'm still not too confident in him being active like this. Again, he saw the bay. He knows there are Colossus. He does scout the expansion. I'm sure he wants to deny it. Medevacs are on the way. He's reinforcing. Now, when it comes to this fight, it's going to come down to the force fields. If the force fields land, then ShiftClick can annihilate this army. And ShiftClick, remember, he sees everything with the observer. Like, he sees the army. He knows where he is. So ShiftClick, he's paying attention. There we go, does engage, does force field, and he will slice this army up. Marines, Marauders get caught. Nice start for ShiftClick. Very nice start. And he's safely getting his 3rd. His 3rd base is getting up. Double Forge now on the way. ShiftClick building up more Colossus. Now, again, he still has retained most of his army. He's got his first Ghost. He can EMP. But pushing into 3 Colossus, I don't think he can. He does rotate, does catch the army move commanding. Does pick a unit off. Oh, nice EMP. Solid connection. Yeah, without any force fields, he can push in. Oh, the spikes are brutal. Yeah, and you can see the Colossus just raining down on the Bio. The Bio melts completely. Nice, well, a very nice Widow Mines. Takes out most of those sentries. But again, the soup does lie. Even though NeO, he does have the larger army supply here, ShiftClick has 3 Colossus. And that does count for a lot. There's Colossus, got his shield batteries. Prism gets seen, gets scouted. NeO, he rotates. Does rotate over. Oh. Financial tower going up. Pulls away. He's still spotted by the observer. 4th base in production here for ShiftClick. ShiftClick, he is keeping up. Oh my god. NeO, he just cannot fight this army head on. It's not gonna happen. Medivacs and Ghost going down. NeO's got he has to get the hell out of here. Oof. Yeah, we'll bleed out all of his ghosts. Medivacs as well. And NeO is in trouble. We have the surround. Oh, we have the surround with the prism. NeO, he's pulling away. And I don't know if ShiftClick can be stopped, so I'll be honest. He's made his way across the map, and we have some Widow Mines here. We have a couple of Ghost for EMPs. Mine shots do not connect. Oh. So we are pushing in. I'm disconnected from BNet, I guess. Why am I disconnected from BNet? Regardless. Yo, Blizzard trying to save me. Save me from the Colossus. Save NeO, papi. Save NeO. As we have Zelarama here into the mineral line. ShiftClick moving forward. And he cannot save the 3rd. He's just thrown away. He's just contained on 2 bases. Nice EMP on the Colossus. He's building up his Vikings. Colossus are low. There's not enough support, and NeO, he will hold. Ooh, he will not just hold, he will clean up every single Colossus. Not bad. Takes down all 3 Colossi. ShiftClick did overextend. Basically, because because his Zealots were harassing, they weren't there to support the army. They weren't there to protect those Colossi. So ShiftClick does overextend. NeO, he's holding on. Behind this, what do we have? We have Storm. Storm is on the way, likewise making 2 Colossus at a time on 4 bases. NeO, he is heavily behind in the economy. And he needs to move out. He needs to be active. He reset the Colossus. He has to take advantage of that. If he doesn't, ShiftClick will just recover. And at this point, he already has. You can see how quickly here the Colossus do come in to reinforce. He's already got 2. Back up to 2 Colossus. DTs, they go for the natural. Going for the turret. Turret goes down. NeO, he just muled. He did just mule. And SCVs are going to be falling. ShiftClick, he doesn't have to break him here. He's just distracting. Distracting for what? Distracting for the DTs. DTs, they kill everything. SCVs are going down. Production as well. There's the scan. Do we have another? We do. We do. Barely have 1. There's 1 more scan. But there's no army. Yeah, there's nothing here. The production's being camped. NeO's all in. NeO, he's completely all in. It's all or nothing for the Terran. Does attempt to EMP. Doesn't quite connect. Yeah, there's a shield battery overcharge. Or the NG overcharge, I should say. And GG gets called. And ShiftClick, he will take the series 3-0. Will take down NeO. And hey, take his first match. GG. GG. Whew. GG, well played. A very, very quirky final game, I will say, game 1 and game 2, I'm not really too fond of how aggressive NeO was being. I mean, the entire series, like, game 1, it was a 1-base all-in on Abyssal Reef, game 2 was a 2-base all-in on King's Cove, game 3 was a 3-racks on Amygdala. It's like hyper-aggressive builds on just really large maps, and it isn't, again, just to re-emphasize, it isn't just that it takes longer to reinforce, but because it's so much larger, there's a higher chance that you get scouted. A higher chance that your opponent can respond to what you're doing, and ShiftClick, he did respond well to the aggression, and ShiftClick, he came out on top. GG, very well done, very well played. We'll take the 3-0 here, and we'll see how he continues, as up next we're going to be following ShiftClick into Vortex. Let's go.